Hey, it's Jang here from UltimateRC.com with a look at the Aquacraft Revolt 30 electric brushless boat. This comes ready to run or almost ready to run, just needs the radio set, which is what I got right here. Now I want to be very clear right from the start that this is my very first fast electric RC boat, so if you're looking for a professional boat racer's opinions, brother, you've come to the wrong place. That said though, this boat itself does come with some truly pro-level equipment. It has an all fiberglass hull and some very heavy-duty and highly tunable hardware on the stern. The turn fins are made from 3/32 aluminum stock and they are machined down to make them mostly sharpened from the factory. You can adjust the height and angle. The rudder has a wedge-shaped cross-section and it has its water pickup on the right side. The manual actually recommends that you try to open up that hole a little bit more for a little extra cooling. The fore to aft rudder angle can be slightly adjusted and it has a breakaway bolt on the bottom to save your hull if you hit something hard in the water. The trim tabs are carbon fiber with aluminum brackets and there are two separately adjustable surfaces on each. The boat uses a fixed cable drive with a horizontal output that's slightly offset to the right of the center line of the boat to help counteract the torque that goes through the stock 42 by 55 copper beryllium titanium alloy prop, and height and angle can be slightly tweaked. The hatch is rectangular to make it easy to secure and seal up with waterproof tape. And with it off, you can see the longitudinal battery box, which allows you to run two 2S packs side by side or in a lower center compartment or a single 4S pack. They do give you some room to move your batteries fore and aft to adjust your center of gravity. The 540 sized motor has a 6-pole stator and it's rated at 1800 kV. And it's held in place by an aluminum motor mount which is vibration dampened and gets screwed into hardwood blocks that are actually fiberglassed into the hull. The ESC is rated at 60 amps continuous and has 2 water cooling channels. Now in an ideal world I would have been able to just drop in my radio and take this thing out to the water. In reality it needed a little bit of work. When under power in the water, the prop will move forward a little bit and the manual recommends that you have a 4 to 5 millimeter gap as a buffer. That needed to be adjusted. An initial float test in my bathtub revealed a lot of leaking around the base of the drive tube as well as the mounting brackets for the trim tabs. This was after only about a minute of sitting. I recommend sealing up anything that goes through the hull with clear silicone. While you're doing that, go ahead and disassemble all of the hardware on the stern that's not affixed with nylock nuts. Apply plenty of thread lock and let it cure so that the entire rear end of the boat doesn't start to come apart on your first full run like it did for me. Also consider adding locking nuts to all of the hardware that goes through the hull and doesn't use them in the first place. Now that you've rebuilt your factory-built boat, you're actually ready to run. With the assembly kinks all ironed out, this is actually a really fun boat. It's pretty quick and extremely agile. The top speed I recorded with a 30C 4S battery pack was just shy of 35 miles per hour. That's with the factory recommended battery position and no changes to the factory set trims. A lot more impressive than the boat's top speed though is its ability to handle full lock turns at full throttle. Through 10 packs of driving I only managed to flip the boat once. Check out how it digs out of the hole. It's not too shabby on the power for a stock setup. My onboard Eagle Tree data logger showed a peak of 85 amps with an average right around the 60 amp limit of the ESC during normal driving. Looking at the watts, it pulled about 1,260 out of the hole and averaged about 850 elsewhere. Motor and ESC temperatures, I'm happy to say, stayed perfectly safe. Now you'll notice I'm doing mostly right-hand turns, and that's because the boat is actually designed to turn right. That's how sanctioned electric monohull races are run. The left-to-right weight balance of the Revolt is pretty even, but it has its rudder offset all the way over to the right, and the water pickup is also on the right-hand side. The boat will turn left, but I found that with the stock trim setup, it will actually nose the bow down a little bit extra in left-hand turns. This can cause it to bow steer or oversteer from the front. Sometimes when that happens, you just have to correct back to the right. But what gets really scary is when this happens. To keep the air resistance and center of gravity down low, the Revolt doesn't have much hull above the water. If it noses down just a little bit too much, it will become a submarine. It's very important to immediately let off the throttle if you see that happen. For most adverse handling characteristics of boats, there are several different things that you can change to try to correct them. But in my case, I just angled the rudder rearward as far as it would go, the exact opposite of the stock setup. It helps keep the nose just a little bit higher in turns, without affecting the straight line attitude. That small change gave me a lot more confidence driving the boat around. I put my battery just a little bit forward of center to keep the nose down during straight line driving, just to keep it a little bit more stable in general. And I was able to make full lock right and left turns even over some chop and wake. Not the fastest setup, but very comfortable. For more speed, I tried out a larger and steeper 45x68 prop that I sharpened and balanced. I polished it too, but that's actually a mistake. You want to leave it a little bit scuffed for more efficiency. This took my recorded top speed just over 40 miles per hour with a 5000 mAh 40C 4S pack. I had to use a bigger, heavier pack because this draws a lot more power. Peak amps out of the hole went up to just shy of 100 with a peak of 1500 on the watts. Continuous running was now over 70 amps and 1100 watts. Component temperatures stayed under 140 degrees Fahrenheit, except for the banana plugs between the motor and ESC. Those got a little uncomfortably toasty. Performance of the boat though with the new prop, ooh, exciting. Especially with the battery moved a little bit rearward again to bring the bow up out of the water and allow the whole thing to run a little bit more dry. There had to be a trade-off though, and runtime is what really suffered. With the stock prop, the boat will give you about 4.5 to 5 minutes of continuous hard running on a 5000 mAh battery. That's staying at wide open throttle the entire time. With the bigger prop though, that went down to about 3 minutes. As I wrap things up for the review, I'll show you just footage with the stock prop. I've been wanting to try out fast electric boats for a long time, and I'm really glad now that I procrastinated long enough to be able to get the Revolt 30 as my first foray into this part of the hobby. Some of the boats that I've considered in the past have relatively flimsy ABS hulls, and even the competitive fiberglass hulled ready-to-runs and almost ready-to-runs available today don't come as well equipped with as much adjustability. The Revolt's assembly defects annoy me greatly because I know that the ready-to-run is built the exact same way, and though experienced hobbyists know that ready-to-runs often need a lot of work out of the box, well, that just shouldn't be the case. Not everyone's an experienced hobbyist, and ready-to-run should mean ready-to-run. The good news is that getting the Revolt ready-to-run actually only took some Loctite and some silicone and some drivers and a file. Oh, and some hockey tape. That's really important to seal up the hatch. No aftermarket upgrades and nothing expensive. The reward is a fast, great handling, reliable boat with lots of adjustability. It's great for casual use, and you can actually wet your whistle with competitive racing with this boat in NAMBA Class P or P spec. Good stuff all around. So thanks very much for watching this review. I hope it was enjoyable and informative to you, and I hope if you pick up a Revolt 30 that you'll stop by the Boats and Watercraft forum at the friendly forums at ultimaterc.com. Share your experience and tips. See you there.